Welcome back live. New York Comic Con 2017. How we doing? How we feeling out there? We're feeling pretty good. It's Sunday, day 4. We've had a great weekend, and we are here with Kristen, who's going to tell us about Hench Girl. Of course, Zeke's here too. Dude, Zeke, yeah,
you're the
baby.
important one.
Kristen, how are we doing? How are we feeling? How's your con been so far?
It's been awesome. I love New York Comic Con. So
Yeah?
it's been really cool.
Is this your first time?
No, this is probably I think it's my, it's day 4. I don't remember how many years I've done New York Comic Con.
Okay,
but I
a
think
bunch,
3.
enough to forget, right?
Yes.
Well, Hench Girl, it sounds like it's been doing pretty well. It started off as a web comic and has been picked up by Dark Horse, and you're now selling it in hard copies. And I wanted you to tell everybody a little bit about Hench Girl. What sort of inspired you to make this story? What's the story about, basically?
Sure. Hench Girl is about a girl who works for a supervillain, but it's just because she can't get a real job. So it's sort of a superhero. It's
a real-life situation. I can't get a job.
Yeah. It's an underemployment story with superpowers.
Yeah.
She's like kind of navigating a superhero world, and I like to make fun of superhero tropes, and also, I don't know,
She is not the good guy, though. She's not the good girl. She kind of lives in this world where there's a lot of morally ambiguous characters, right?
Yeah, she's definitely morally ambiguous, but she's attempting to be an okay person, not a good person, but like okay. Usually
like
failing.
a lot of us are, we try our best.
Like her gang wants to like rob a bunch of orphans, and she's like,
wait a second. I know I don't have a job, but orphans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
now, are you writing and drawing?
Yeah.
Yay, that's
and
awesome.
Coloring.
And coloring.
Lettering. All
You're doing
that
it all.
fun
It's
stuff.
all you.
Well, I did it. It actually concludes at the end of the trade. It was an 11-issue run.
Yeah.
So
you sort of created this and started posting it online, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it started garnering a following, which is pretty cool. What was that like to sort of be like, wow, people are actually really enjoying this a lot?
Well, I always found webcomics to be really fun because you get a sense of instant gratification.
Right.
Instead of with normal print comics, you have to wait like a year before you know if you did a good
it's
job
a long
or not.
time.
Or well, whatever. You have to wait a certain amount of time. But versus like I would literally finish a page and just post it online.
And then people would start leaving their comments
like
right away?
They'd be like, oh my God, I bet I know what's happening. And they never did. They could never guess my twist.
You'd always be like, they're so wrong.
Yeah.
Only I know.
Yes.
Well, tell me about transitioning from doing the webcomics. Like, what was the process of going from a webcomic to getting picked up by Dark Horse and going from there?
Well, I mean, it's just night and day.
Dark Horse.
The amount of,
Like, what?
I love Dark Horse, and so working with such an amazing company and having them really believe in my book was just the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
So I guess just more people have heard of it because it's not just a webcomic.
Right?
How did it happen? Did they just like call you on the phone because people still do phones?
No,
they sent over a guy on a dark horse in the middle of the night, okay? And it burst down her door. Yeah.
Actually, I met them at New York Comic Con a few years
no
ago.
Way.
Yeah,
hey, it all comes around.
Sauntered up to my booth in Artist Alley, and I was like, here's my stuff.
And
Hire me.
And they liked it,
yeah.
And they did. That's amazing. What have you been up to here? Have you been signing, been walking around, chilling, hanging?
I have not had a moment to chill
been busy.
or hang.
Okay, none of that.
But I did do signings, and I've been in Artist Alley all weekend.
Yeah?
So, yeah, like...
Just busy, 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 nonstop.
It's like a marathon.
Yeah.
Except you're drawing, like, anime pictures.
Well, it's good to be busy. I wanted to ask you, Hench Girl, what are some of the themes throughout? Was there something like... Did you have the whole story sort of planned out, or was it one of those things where, you said you were like drawing and writing it just kind of on the fly? Is this something that you've been thinking about for a while, for years, and you finally got to, or were you just like, today I feel like drawing a couple pages and the story kind of is gonna go like this? Was it
Well, actually, what happened was I did a drink and draw once, and I won a voucher for
A drink and draw.
I won a voucher for a comic making class. I'm serious.
You never know where ideas can come from,
And
right?
I was like,
yeah.
I gotta make a comic so I could take this
Yeah.
class. I could use
I
my
drink
coupon.
and draw, and I'm like, looks kind of the same. Okay, just
Yeah.
bad.
So I started just trying to brainstorm around there, and the writing process is kind
Yeah.
of fun because I wrote it over the course
Now,
of
when was this?
many years. 2013.
Okay. A while ago. A
While
couple years
ago,
ago.
yeah. So yeah, it's been a long journey. But
So you started drawing Hench Girl. It was kind of coming together, and then you started thinking that like this is actually a character that has some substance to it, and we
Yeah.
could keep going with this.
just kept getting bigger and bigger, the story, which was really fun because, I don't know, it's kind of rare to feel that inspired by a story, but that one had
Yeah.
such a ripe amount of things to kind of focus on.
Right. Well, I like how I was reading some of it back stage before we came out here, and right away it's just very like funny. You're funny. And
Good job, you're
so
funny.
funny. I'm wondering, is it mostly like lighthearted, or does it get into some more serious topics as you get into it a little bit more?
My favorite thing is to do like really dark tonal shifts that are really
Okay.
like whatever. I like messing with people because my art looks really cute and
Yeah,
like happy.
right?
So I'm like, let's have like someone explode.
That's not happy.
Spoiler.
That took a turn.
Yeah, I always like it when other stuff does that. So for
Yeah.
me, it's
Just
always
like out of nowhere, boom.
Well, I mean, there's a plot
Okay, there's a reason
for it.
to. You're
It's
not,
not
just like,
hey,
we're walking down the street, someone explodes.
that's
They're
actually-
crazy.
That's a good concept.
I mean, hey, you can take it. Okay, maybe in the next one, exploding guy. Well, I'm wondering, what are you thinking like next? What's your next sort of plans? What's for the future?
I have a couple upcoming projects that I'm working on right now that are
Yeah.
coming out in.
You've been drinking a lot.
Yeah, and drawing.
thinking- and drawing.
I've got something coming out from Dark Horse and
Okay.
also a book from Scholastic.
You can't say.
I don't think so.
Okay, then don't. Then
It's a book, comic.
Okay.
Hold on. A book. You said a book for
Book comic.
for Scholastic.
Yeah, that too.
Is
A
that
graphic novel? Graphics.
is that like educational or?
No.
Okay. I must be thinking of something different with Scholastic.
Well, the name sounds very Scholastic, but
Yeah.
they do fiction stuff, and
Oh,
mine is
okay.
100%
Yeah.
fiction.
Okay.
so Hench Girl, she's with the bad guys. Do you sort of look at her as someone while you're reading it? Do you assume that the audience is sort of siding with her, or do they look at her sometimes and are like, she's not really a good person? I feel like so many comics is like, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. It's very clear. Whereas you're taking a different approach, and that to me is super interesting. And do you think about that while you're making your comic? You're like, people are gonna think this is weird and different, or are you just like, these are my characters and this is how I'm making it?
I guess I want to make sure people don't hate her to a
Okay.
point where they don't want to read the comic.
That's true.
But I like moral nebulousness with characters, and I think that humans are all like, nothing's black and white in the world.
Right.
So I think it's fun to toe the line of where you can bring a character before they become totally horrible. But hopefully
Yeah.
people who are reading it aren't like, oh yeah, she is a good guy. Everything she does is okay. I should
be
rob
just
a bank.
like her. I want to be a hench girl when I grow up. Yeah. I think.
Do you have any like comic inspirations? I hesitate to say heroes or idols, but people that you look up to, people that you're like that's really inspiring.
Yeah, of course. I mean, number one would probably be Rumiko Takahashi, who did Inuyasha and Ranma One Half. That's like how I got into comics. Was I would just go to FYE in the 90s and just buy all her books and just read them like 30 times because you couldn't find any manga anywhere in the 90s. It was really sad.
Right. Yeah.
And also Brian Lee O'Malley, whose art I think is really cool, and I also like dig his sense of humor. And just a lot of different comic book
Yeah.
artists, and also just like regular artists and writers,
Well,
non-comic.
how cool is it that there are probably people who are picking up your comics that are going to be inspired and writing their own comics in the future. How's that feel?
That's the dream.
That's pretty cool, right?
Well, I think it's honestly the best thing that, the most inspiring thing, like just hearing about it, is that you're doing it all. You did it all.
Yeah.
By yourself. I mean, that's a Herculean task.
Well, I started doing it all by. I didn't have any I didn't have an artist to work with, so I was just like, I guess I'll
do
draw it. But also, it's like, comics are fun because it's like you can make an entire movie, and you are the only one who did anything on it. Like, you could have the visual aspect and the story and stuff. So I really liked how much freedom and control I had over it. So that's kind of, I think, why comics and doing the whole thing myself is like my favorite thing to do.
One question I love to ask people who draw comics, is there like a specific object that you're like, oh, I love when I get a chance to draw this?
I like drawing people.
People? Okay.
Faces, expressions.
Okay.
I hate drawing cars. I hate cars.
When I read it now, I'm going to look for cars and just know, like, she hated that.
Like, yeah, well, I use reference for them so they look okay, but just know
right.
that I wasn't having fun when I was
fun
drawing
doing
it.
You were doing it for us.
Yeah.
The people read
so
it.
You better appreciate those cars. Look at all the cars in the background, guys.
Well, thank you so much. Hench Girl, out right now. Where do we check it out?
You can get it at New York Comic Con. You can get it at Dark Horse booth, and also at my table in Artist Alley. And you can also get it on wherever you get comics.
Everywhere on the internet
and in the world. Do you have a social media yourself?
Yeah, I am henchgirl_comic on Twitter and Instagram.
Awesome.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
Had a good time talking. You can't wait to check it out. You guys, stick around. We got more awesome stuff. New York Comic Con 2017. See you in a sec.